We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. He's Femi Abebefe. I'm Stormy Bonatoni. We're live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. If you missed any of the show earlier, we have already broken down at length Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final on the ice tonight. We also had a great conversation with Chris Jimenez talking about some of the big picture MLB items going on. Plenty of NBA. If you missed any of the first hour, you can always find Money Moves in podcast form wherever you get your podcast. Still so much more to come this hour. We're going to dive into Cavs-Knicks with Bob Finnan, covers the Cavs and has for years and years and years, get his perspective on basically what went down with the Cavs the other night, because I still really don't fully know how to describe it.
A collapse, a choke job, a stepping on the rake, whatever you want to call it.
Just brutal. Had the game within your grasp and let it fall away. So we'll dive into that. We'll also get into the Conn Smythe market, which I know is something that has been top of mind for you.
Oh, you know me, I love the awards markets. Yeah. And the Conn Smythe being a very unique one, given the fact that it's over the course of the entire playoffs and not just a particular series, which I do think it provides some opportunities here, especially with one team in particular, that being the Carolina Hurricanes, who they've only played 8 games. It's relatively small sample size. They could play 7 in this series alone. So maybe some things could shake up near the top of the odds.
I didn't think about it from that perspective. That is fascinating.
It's only been 8, man.
Yeah, that would be a fun conversation to get into. But we're actually going to kick things off here with a little NFL conversation. JVT did not want to discuss this yesterday. And it's fair. I understand. He despises anything about Aaron Rodgers' offseason talk.
Oh.
So I'm curious your opinion, because I didn't get to talk about it yesterday. I was hoping you might tell me something.
It was embargoed? Like, what's going on here?
No. Basically, we saw it come across from Shefty and others that he was on the podium and he said he's going to come back, but that it will be retiring, right? Yeah. After the season is over. And we basically said it and then moved on to the next thing. Let's first hear from Aaron Rodgers yesterday out there in Pittsburgh with OTAs underway.
Yes.
As in your last year?
This is it, yeah.
The physical, getting back into shape for this season came into your calculus,
Yeah, that was a big part of it. Just want to see how I responded once we got into the off-season, at least a month or so, as my body started to recover. And obviously I broke, multiple bones in my arm and wrist. So I wanted to see how that would heal up after, not getting it wrapped and hit every single week. So, and then you got to see how you feel when you respond to working out. But I felt good. I've been training and staying in shape, and I love the strength staff here. Again, Mark and they kept Justice, who's a big favorite of all the guys in the locker room. So it's a really good training staff, and I've enjoyed the workout so far.
So he talked at length about, his body coming back, some of the doubts that he had, not only from that standpoint, but when Mike Tomlin was fired and he thought that was the end of the road for him in Pittsburgh. You find out Mike McCarthy is coming back, and that ended up actually being a big part of what swayed him to stay. How do you feel about Rodgers and the Steelers in 2026?
You know, it's so interesting because, like, Rodgers, like, you think about, like, the career that he's had. Like, hey, this is a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going right to Canton, been one of the best players in the history of the league. But when you pare it down to just 2026, I mean, on his best day, this is an average quarterback. Like, that's kind of where we're at. And I guess from a Steelers standpoint, it gives them stability when you want to take a look at season win total or a chance to win the division or a chance to make the playoffs or whatever. But it's a relatively low ceiling team with perhaps a pretty decently high floor, if you will. Like, to me, the Steelers, like, the win total of 8.5 makes a lot of sense. I feel like this is an 8-win team, maybe 9-win team on the best day. Maybe they get some turnover luck. They can go 10-7 again like they did last season where they won the playoffs. Shout out to Tyler Loop. But I don't see this team being a team that's going to be a contender in the AFC because you look at Rodgers based on where he was at, like in QBR or all the nerdy stats like your EPA per plays, your advanced metrics, he was in the bottom third in the NFL. Like, and I think maybe he was because he was injured or whatever, but guess what? This is entering his age 43 season. Old people get hurt. Like, what's to say that he doesn't get injured again in 2026? Knock on wood. We don't root for injuries, but we're dealing in reality. Like, there's no guarantee that he's going to all of a sudden be healthy and be the guy that we saw prior to when he even went to the New York Jets. So, yeah, I think this is a relatively low ceiling with a decently high floor, given McCarthy and Rodgers the head coach QB pairing.
You need him to continue to not turn over the football. I think that's important.
Yep.
And hopefully Mike McCarthy can do something offensively to produce a little bit more downfield, right? We saw a lot of the short range throws. And I was actually looking at some of the numbers for him in the intermediate pass game. It was the 8th in passer rating in that portion of the field, so 11 to 20 yards. Second in touchdown passes with 9, despite having the fewest pass attempts of the top quarterbacks in those thresholds. So if Mike McCarthy can get him to get the ball downfield a little bit more and not be as quick with the trigger because you're afraid of getting hit. And I know he mentioned in his availability yesterday, something that was important to him was improving that offensive line, got a piece that he really likes in the draft. So maybe that can help him. And if McCarthy can be a little bit more creative, they've got more talent on the outside, bringing in Michael Pittman to pair up with DK Metcalf. And the defense should be more of what we expected it to be last year in what ultimately was a really bad down year. And it's, I know, an aging defense, but they added some young pieces. I'm like one of the few people that's slightly optimistic about the Steelers this year. JVT hates it. That's part of why he doesn't want to talk to me about it.
Is this make the playoffs? Are you in on maybe a division, taking a stab at 5-1? Like, what are we talking about?
I haven't bet anything yet because it's still May.
But what are you eyeing?
But I am eyeing the even money price on the over 8.5.
Okay.
And I could potentially be tempted on it to make the playoffs bet. I'm not there yet. But if I were to do the make the playoffs, instead of actually betting that, I would do to lose in the wild card because that's just how it goes.
Can I talk you into, because now here I am as the bad influence. Can I talk you into perhaps betting them to win the division at 5-1?
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to. But you could talk me into it.
Hear me out before you decide that you're not going to do it. Hear me out. Because given the turnover that we saw in the AFC North, this is like a pretty intriguing division. Like, we have 3 new head coaches, which this was the division of stability.
For years and years and years.
Tomlin, you had Harbaugh. I mean, the Browns. I mean, but Stefanski was there for a decent amount of time. But then, of course, you have Zach Taylor, who, like, the Bengals never fire anyone. So you got the turnover. It doesn't have to go well in Baltimore, like with Jesse Minter. Like, what if he's in over his head as a first-time head coach? In Cincinnati, I mean, the Bengals, you're always one Joe Burrow injury away from a season from hell with that team, as we've seen
and we
over
think
the last
the
couple
defense
years.
is revamped, but will it work?
But will it work? And you have the Cleveland Browns, who you look at them, it's like they're the Cleveland Browns. Todd Monken has yet to speak with Myles Garrett or meet him. Like, so we're off to a great start there. Look at their quarterback room. Like, to me, like, you don't have to squint too hard to where if these things don't go well in other spots, to where I'm saying, like, with your opinion of I'm higher on the Steelers than market, maybe put a little down to get a big payout as opposed to just even money on an over 8.5.
I don't know if I can get there because the Bengals schedule is so dang easy.
Roll the dice, Stormy.
Roll
the dice.
We have got several months to discuss this.
Both. You can bet both. Get over 8.5 and put a little bit on 5-1.
That's fair. Because you brought up the Browns quarterback situation, though, I did think this was kind of funny from Todd Monken coming out of early OTAs. We threw interceptions in 7-7, for God's sake. Who does that? There's no pass rush. It was embarrassing talking about his quarterback so far. Didn't single out which quarterback. But as we know, even though Deshaun Watson has been the leader in the clubhouse per all of those reports that it looks like he's going to be the starter, Monken is still calling it a competition with Shedeur Sanders. You look at the market at FanDuel for the quarterback to start week 1. Watson is is -$2 roughly. Shedeur Sanders +158 before Dillon Gabriel's 55-1 after that.
Poor Dillon Gabriel.
But the market certainly giving the edge to Watson, but not saying Shedeur's out of this thing.
I mean, I feel like Watson's going to start.
I think he should,
I also
even though it's dumb.
Yeah, like I mean, we're talking about bad quarterbacks here.
Yeah.
You know, but like to me, it almost feels like ownership is going to just step in and be like, hey, like Watson's our starting quarterback. Why? Because we're paying him a guaranteed contract. That's why. Like he needs to be out there playing. And yeah, like he's coming off of multiple Achilles injuries that he's coming off of here. Like this guy hasn't been playing football in like 2 years. But Shedeur Sanders, based on what we saw last year, does he look like a guy who's ready to start week 1 of an NFL? Like, no. Like, he didn't look like it to me, at least. But
another quote, though, from Monken, I'll say, and granted, this is like the we're all happy in fairy tale land time of year. Monken said of Sanders, he's miles ahead in terms of progressions about getting the ball out, his understanding of concepts. He's really, really come a long way. So maybe there is something to that. I don't know. Let's talk about a quarterback, though, who we know is legit. It's just a matter of whether or not he can stay on the field. Joe Burrow had some pretty strong statements when he was on the podium. Take a listen.
Talk about the idea of trying to elevate the Bengals onto a bigger platform during the course of your career. Do you think that the Bengals are in a better spot now than they were years ago, and how much more work is there to go in that?
Definitely. I think the number one thing is you have to win. And we're going to go win a lot of games this year and play great and win a Super Bowl, and everything that comes with that comes with that.
Okay, Joey B. 22-1 to win said Super Bowl. Should you do that?
No, you should not. You should not do that. Or at least you should not do that yet. What do we know about the Zach Taylor version of the Cincinnati Bengals? And this is something that we would always talk to with our guy, Michael Lombardi, back in the Lombardi line days. The Bengals always start every year slow. And there's going to be a point, whether it's in early October or maybe around Halloween, where you're looking around and saying, oh, why are the Bengals 3-4 or whatever? But, like, they're showing some signs of playing well. That is when you should buy in on the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not convinced that this team is going to start fast. So, no, I will not be betting on them right now. But come talk to me mid-October. That might be the chance to bet some Bengals stuff.
I mentioned their strength of schedule, third easiest in the NFL. Yes, the division will be more difficult, as we just discussed. Ravens' expectations back up, but they only play 5 games against teams that made the playoffs last year, 2 of which are the Steelers, Texans, Jags, and Panthers, who made the postseason as a sub-500 team. Like, that's what they're up against. A lot of things set up really nice for them if Joe Burrow and company stay healthy. Burrow, by the way, 10-1, third on the board, tied for third on the board to win MVP this year, 8-1, your favorite to be the league's passing leader. And he also made a statement about potentially breaking the career record for the Bengals in touchdown passes. 47 would be that number. His over-under is 31.5 if you think he's going to be fired.
Got some work to do, Joey B.
We got to step aside here on Money Moves, but when we come back, very excited to dive into the Conn Smythe conversation. So much going on in the NHL and NBA postseason. We're covering it all this hour on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We got the news earlier this week about the Circa contest guarantee. All 3 contests, $30 million guaranteed. And if you want to join in, official signups begin on Friday. And if you don't live in Vegas, but obviously want to come out here to sign up, remember, Winner's Circle Proxy can help you all season long. After you are required for the in-person registration, Winner's Circle Proxy will handle everything else for the weekly submissions the rest of the way, so you can make your picks from anywhere in the country. They are VSiN's preferred proxy service. They do an awesome job each and every year. Winner's Circle Proxy, one trip to Vegas, play all season long from anywhere. You can schedule your appointment today at winnercircleproxy.com. You going to be getting some entries?
Oh, you
once again?
Of course, I have not decided if I want to go 1 or 2 on the Survivor. I'll definitely do 1 on the Millions. I will not be in the Grandissimo. Just go ahead and put that out there right now.
You don't want to go halfsies?
We can break that news right now exclusively here on Money Moves. But yeah, just deciding what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like my wife, if she wants to get into Survivor as well. So we'll see how we do this thing. But try to win the $20 million.
Yes. After the guarantee last year.
Win that, you ain't gonna see me ever again.
Also, right. I wonder how high it'll actually get to, because last year, if you remember, the guarantee was $15 million, and the number that we ended up reaching was over 18 with the entries. So do we maybe hypothetically exceed 20, because every year this thing has just grown and grown and grown?
Have we put up a number here at Circa for? Is there like
No,
is there a number that we can bet on? Maybe,
we should. Let's get that. Jeff Benson, are you listening? Let's get that up there.
Or Polymarket, Kalshi, whoever.
Yeah, let's just get it going.
Prediction market.
They're somewhere. We can get this somewhere. You can do anything.
Somebody could do it.
Do anything on Polymarket.
We might be giving ideas to people. Who knows?
Also, we got some news in the NHL a little bit ago coming out of the optional skates for the Golden Knights and Colorado Avalanche. For Vegas, in the optional, Dylan Coghlan was the only player who played last night ultimately on the ice. No Mark Stone either. And I bring this up just because, obviously, he has been out now for a chunk of games. He was back on the ice ahead of morning skate yesterday, though. And potentially, if he's able to get back in the fold with this lower body injury, I wonder if winning game 1 changes your mindset of trying to rush him back for game 2. Maybe if you were previously, now you feel like, okay, we already stole one on the road. Let's save him and get him a little bit more rested to bring him back for that 3rd game, maybe back at T-Mobile Arena. Also, Cale Makar, who did not play last night either, back on the ice for Colorado this morning. Jared Bednar did not give an update on his status, but I think it is notable that while yesterday he did not skate with the team, today he did. Yeah. Another optional, though.
And I think where these series are at definitely changes how these teams approach it. Like, sort of like the San Antonio Spurs with De'Aaron Fox. Like, he misses game 1, they win game 1. It's like, well, we don't need him for game 2 because we already got mission accomplished. We got the split. We have home court advantage. If you're Vegas, I think Stone unlikely to play game 2. I had no inside information. That would just be my guess. But with Colorado, though, I mean,
you need him.
You don't want to fall down 0-2. Like, it's not impossible for the Avalanche to win the series if they do lose both games at home, but it makes it that much more difficult. So maybe if this thing is kind of a true game time decision, we lean more towards, hey, Cale, give us what you got, man. You're a 2-time Norris winner. Like, let's go out there and play, because we need to win this game and even up the series before falling into a hole that might be insurmountable.
So speaking of Cale Makar, I found it very interesting looking at the Conn Smythe odds this morning, just how much his number has moved. So he, prior to missing the game, was 14-1 on the odds board. He's 70-1 today. I had to do a triple take on DraftKings to make sure that was correct. 70-1 now after that.
He's one of the best players in the world, and he's 70-1. However, though, given that this is the MVP of the playoffs, Cale Makar has won this award before, back when the Avalanche won the World Series. My goodness, the Stanley Cup. It'd be impressive if they did win the World Series. Back when they won the Stanley Cup, he was the winner. It was not Nathan MacKinnon.
Yes.
MacKinnon is outpacing him in terms of production. And the injury, the fact that Makar is not 100% Cale Makar, is also baked into that number as well, which is why it's at 70-1. So while enticing to see 70-1 next to Cale Makar to do anything, I think it's a little bit of a fool's errand just because we don't know when exactly he'll be back and what percentage when he is on the ice.
And I'm in total agreement with you. I don't think that even if the Avs get to the Stanley Cup that he's going to win it for the reasons that you laid out. 70-1 just feels aggressive from a number standpoint. That is far too big of a move in my mind for what he brings, especially if he's able to get back on the ice coming up in game 2 or 3 of this series and they win it. That said, for me, if the Avs go on to win the Stanley Cup, it is Nathan MacKinnon. And his odds actually got a little bit longer now since they lost that game, despite still being favored in this series. He's out from plus 180 to plus 215 now, leads the Avs in points, goals, second in assists, narrative-wise too. Not only the Makar element of it that you mentioned, with him having won in 2022, but MacKinnon, he just got silver at the Olympics. He's been the best player in the league all year. Narrative-wise, I think that voters would probably want to see him get reward. Right? You have a lot of questions, though, about this market, though. So where do you want to dive into next?
I think the most interesting part with this market is the Carolina Hurricanes, who are now your favorite to win the Stanley Cup after what we saw last night. The betting market seems to be all in on Freddie Anderson, or at least pushing him as the guy for the Hurricanes. And your ESPN colleague, Greg Wyshynski, who covers the NHL, does a great job. He put out his most recent Conn Smythe update and rankings after talking to nearly a dozen of reporters, some of which who might end up with votes for the Conn Smythe. So we do this every single round. Freddie Anderson is the leader in that poll as well. But as we were talking about a little bit earlier this hour, might have been at the end of last hour, the Hurricanes have only played 8 games. That's a very small sample size. And while Anderson has a 95% save percentage, which is absurd, it's only been 8 games. They could play 7 in this round alone to where it's almost like double what they've already played. A lot can still happen despite the fact that he has been really good. I think you want to go a little bit further down the board for these Carolina guys. I know Logan Stankoven's not a big-time long shot. It's 13-1 or so, but he does lead the team in goals. Taylor Hall is an option. But could I interest you in some big bombs? What about Sebastian Aho, who currently is 50-1? Isn't he the best player on the Hurricanes? Isn't he the guy, when they talk about Carolina Hurricanes, he led the team in points this season during the regular season? He only has 4 right now, so he has a lot of work to do, but he's at 50-1.
I think it's too much ground to cover.
You think it's too much ground to make up?
I do.
What if they play 7 games against Montreal?
Well, that's the thing, is you need not only for him to play really well and to up his scoring potential, but you also then need that line that you just mentioned, because Stankoven, Hall, and Jackson Blake, who are the 3
they've been crushing it,
who are the 3 skaters who are the favorites among Carolina to win it, all play on a line together. So if they continue to cook and they're continuing to feed each other and just cycling through who's going to get more points, that's going to be then a problem for Sebastian Aho to catch up. So I think for him, he would not only have to up the goal scoring and assist potential, but also have them be impact moments, right? In that, for me, I would kind of take your shot on one of those guys that's on that line. So Stankoven, 13-1. He has fewer points than Taylor Hall, but he has 7 goals. And the goal scoring potential is kind of what separates him. I think that similarly, when you look at the numbers for Vegas, and let's say, obviously Mitch Marner's 7-1 now, down from 12-1. Jack Eichel's 18-1. But even though Jack Eichel is in the same world points wise as Mitch Marner is, he only has 1 goal. And it's the way that Mitch Marner has produced for the Vegas Golden Knights is he has had impact goals. He has 3 goals in elimination games to this point, which is more than the 9 seasons that he was in Toronto in that type of a role. He has primary assists on all of these shorthanded goals, impact moments, right, to pull ahead in a game when you need to. He's been such a difference maker on every area of the ice, whereas Jack Eichel, he's been a little bit more passive. He has, especially in this series with Colorado, I think he's going to be more defensive playing against that top line. So is that going to impact his numbers? You kind of have to look at it in a variety of ways. I love your idea of taking a bomb, but it's hard to pull the trigger by the time we get to the conference finals on a shot that is that long. In my mind, at least.
Well, I mean, I will say Sam Bennett around this time last year was about 30-1,
which he shouldn't have been, though. That was a misprice, and I feel like we talked about that all the time.
And he ended up leading the playoffs and goals and all that stuff. That's how he gets home. And also, too, Florida was very congested in terms of their production. It was very spread out. He just happened to be the goal-scoring leader. But I think Carolina, though, I'm taking shots at Freddie Anderson, and it's not shade to him, but it's I don't think that this is going to sustain itself if we continue to play if we play longer series than a short 4-game series or so. And I think that's likely to be the case now that we're deeper into the playoffs. How about though for Montreal? Because that's another team where the goalie seems to be leading the way in the odds board. Jakub Dobeš right now is 18-1. Yeah. Nick Suzuki's still out there. Cole Caulfields are still out there.
Speaking of misprices, this is what I was going to say. Speaking of misprices, and I know I just said it's hard to take a bomb at this point. How is he 100-1? It doesn't make sense.
He has 7 goals.
That's wrong.
7 goals.
He has 7 goals, including 2 Game 7 game winners.
You can easily see a narrative, and it's so funny you say, how has it happened? Greg Wyshynski literally said, he's like, I'm surprised that there wasn't more support for Alex Newhook. So maybe it's taking people some time to get around to it, but if he keeps doing what he did in the first couple rounds, that 100-1 ain't going to be around much longer if that's the case.
So that's a bomb I would have more interest in because it's just mispriced. That's just wrong. I think Sebastian Aho is appropriately priced at 50-1. This is interesting. I still have a lot more opinions on this, to be honest with you.
We can do some more.
We have the NBA to discuss coming up next, but I think at the end of the hour we might have to come back to this conversation a bit.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Big game 2 upon us in the Eastern Conference Finals as we roll along here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, alongside Femi Abebefe, Stormy Bonantoni with you. The Knicks, 5.5-point home favorites after somehow pulling off the Game 1 win, being down 22 in the fourth quarter. God help us. How did that happen? Hopefully, we can make some sense of it as Bob Finnan joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line, Cavs beat writer, the Illyria Chronicle Telegram, and Medina Gazette. You can follow him on X at Bob's Cavs Insider. Please, I know you tweeted immediately at the end of the game, what a collapse. That's the word of the day. I feel like we've all been saying it. Can they respond from said collapse, I guess, is my big question.
Well, I think they can. It's a veteran team. Harden this is his 17th playoff appearance. Donovan's been in a lot. Yes, they can come back from that, but still, it's not taking anything away from I've just not seen anything like that. It's, they were up by 22, I think, with 7.5 minutes left, something like that. And they just quit playing. And, of course, they had some problems covering Brunson, but, a lot of teams do. I'm sure they'll have something up their sleeve trying to slow him down today.
Well, Bob, I guess we all saw those first 3.5 quarters. What is it that they can take away from that early dominance that you think can now turn it into Game 2 and the rest of this series?
Well, they're playing through their bigs. Their 2 big men are both very capable players, and they were playing very well. Donovan had a great game up until, the end of the game, and they did a lot of things the right way, but, defensively, they just kind of fell apart there at the end. And I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure they have something up their sleeve to try to slow down Brunson, because that was ridiculous. He just was, they were switching on everything, and he ended up on Harden on every play. And, Mike Brown said after the game that they were attacking Harden, and, most teams do, but the Cavs have some very good defensive players that, Dean Wade, one guy that didn't play, Jalen Tyson, which I think could see some minutes today. Really good defender, Max Strus as well. So they're going to have something up their sleeve there. They have to. And other than that, New York is, very capable, team. And but it all starts with Brunson with them. So they're going to have to slow him down somehow.
Yeah, that's the thing, Bob, and you mentioned it, just the way that they kept being able to switch and get him in a position to where he's one-on-one with Harden off the screen, and they just kept taking advantage of it. But you said it, like they never were able to really get out of it until the last couple minutes for whatever reason of the game. And a big part of that is Kenny Atkinson never calls a timeout to try to stop and reset at any point. And even after the game, the commentary that he made didn't make a whole lot of sense on saying that he wanted to hold on to his timeouts. Do you think that maybe he's done a little bit of self-reflection in the last 48 hours? Will we see a different approach from him personally as a coach moving forward?
I'm sure he will. I mean, I think he had 2 timeouts, in fact, at the end, and he just wanted to hang on to them. For what? What are you hanging them on? I don't know what that was for, but they had to do something to try to slow down the Knicks' avalanche there, and they did. They just kind of played into it, and my gosh, getting a win in one of these 2 first games was what they wanted to do, and it's still possible, but it's going to be a lot harder today, I believe, because the Knicks are all jacked up and they're confident going into this second game. But, the Cavs won 2 road games in Detroit in that series, including Game 7, which I just didn't see that happening going into that game. But they're capable. They're capable of going into New York and winning. And Donovan's going to have a good game again. Harden's going to have to really wake up, stop turning the ball over as much as he has, and maybe make a couple shots. That would be real nice. And they're capable of winning this game today.
Yeah, the betting market certainly sees it that way as well, as the Cleveland Cavaliers have been getting bet all throughout the day as we're still a handful of hours away from tip-off. You mentioned Donovan Mitchell, though, and the game that he had in Game 1, who was playing so well, but for some reason was just not initiating the offense, wasn't really on the ball in the later portion of the fourth quarter, and especially during overtime. Is Mitchell all the way healthy? I know the injury report, nobody is on the injury report, but a lot of us sitting watching from the outside, we're sort of kind of speculating, saying, hey, does maybe Mitchell have like an undisclosed injury or anything like that? Like based on what you've seen, and you've been hanging around them at shoot-around and have been talking to other people out there who cover the team, is everything okay with Donovan Mitchell, or is this kind of us just like sitting here looking for reasons to try to explain what happened Monday night, or Tuesday night, rather?
Well, yeah, I don't think I'm not aware of any injury. Let's put it that way. They retired, but who isn't at this point in the season? They came off a grueling Game 7 in the last 2 series, in fact, and so yeah, they've been playing a lot of games. The Knicks were sitting around for 9 days, so that could have had something to do with it. But I mean, you want to get the ball in Donovan's hands. He's a scorer. He's a scorer. And, I don't know what was going on there. I would think if I'm the coach, I would run a couple plays for him in that just to get him going a little bit. But he was pretty much a spectator there down the stretch.
Longtime Cavs beat reporter Bob Finnan joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. How many games do you think this thing goes? And I know you said you think the Cavs are capable of winning tonight. Winning on the road had been a struggle for them until it wasn't. Can they win more than one on the road?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to go 7, and that's my prediction. And I picked the Knicks to win in 7, and I'd like to see the Cavs get back to the finals, but they're going to have to play a lot better. So,
no question.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, winning on the road in the playoffs is not easy for anyone, and it's just part of it. But they're capable of winning this game tonight.
No doubt about it. Bob, thank you so much for the time. I know it's a busy day. We appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Bob Finnan, again, follow him on X at Bob Cavs Insider. And, of course, find all of the work at the Illyrio why can I not say this word? Illyria, Chronicle, Telegram, and Medina Gazette.
I was asking Justin before the show. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I said, good thing Stormy's the one that has to say it and not me.
How is that for you, by the way, today, sitting in like the more analyst seat?
It's great. You know, I'm not driving the bus. I'm shotgunning. Passenger princess over here. You know,
just get to judge me having to do ad reads and watching the clock, the daily struggle that I have. I know that we're going to get to our best bets here coming up in the next segment. You do have a play, though, in this game. So
yes.
Where is your feeling for anyone who missed hour one?
Yeah, to me, I like the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think the betting market has this one right. It's seen a lot of money. I didn't anticipate it was going to get down to 5 or so earlier this morning when I woke up, but I just feel like what we saw in those first 3.5 quarters, there's something there, and Bob brought it up as well, talking about those two bigs, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. That makes things difficult inside. Like, I don't think New York struggling offensively was just rust and they can't make shots. I think there's also things that Cleveland was doing to them as well to make it a little bit harder on that end of the floor. So I like Cleveland. I don't know if this is going to go 7. I still think it's Knicks in 6. But if you believe Knicks in 6, we had the graphic up earlier when we were talking to Bob. I mean, that's plus 500 for the Knicks in 6, just based off of them winning in game 1. The expectation being that, they're going to win in 5. I don't see that happening. I think Cleveland will at least respond tonight and make this a tougher series in the betting market things.
And hopefully, you would imagine, learned from the way that the end of this game shook out with James Harden. And we talked a lot about it there. But, maybe don't let your worst defender be up against a guy named Captain Clutch. Maybe don't.
Good.
Maybe don't.
And call timeout, too.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I still can't believe it. I said it yesterday on the show. I thought when I first heard that clip from Kenny Atkinson that it was AI. Because, we have all those fake press conferences now and all of that stuff. I was like, that's not real. Nope, that was real head coach in the NBA.
Smiling.
Our guy Zach Cohen today in his daily article, he also likes the Cleveland Cavaliers today. And he's got a couple props I'm going to tease. You got to go check out this article, vsin.com right now. You get a couple free articles each and every day, but if you want to join us on a full-time basis, get unlimited access to all of the playoff coverage, get unlimited access to the picks page, the Opta AI prop tools, vsin.com/subscribe, and use the promo code PRO because, typically it's an annual subscription for $240. We're actually giving you 14 months for under $200. Check it out today while you can. We're wrapping things up next year on Money Moves. Best bets coming at you.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
To Money Moves, Stormy Buonantony, Femi Abebefe with you. We're live, as always, downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Okay, I want to get back to the Conn Smythe conversation in a minute, but because you have 800 bets, let's do the best bets here quickly and roll through them. What do you got?
800, slight exaggeration there, but I do have a handful of bets. Yeah, it's 4 bets.
4, okay.
It's 4.
Well, on a day that I have none, it felt like a lot. Okay, I was I'm overwhelmed. Thank God Femi came in hot. He was ready to go today.
Put the team on my back, though.
Let's go.
In the NBA, I like the Cleveland Cavaliers, as we talked about in the last segment. I don't like with the points, though, +5 and all that stuff. No, I like them on the money line. This feels like one of those classic games, similar to what we saw a little bit last night with the Thunder and the Spurs, where favorite likely covers, or if the dog is going to cover, the dog is just going to win the game outright. Got a little hairy there last night for those of you who laid it with OKC, but they did get to the window. I think tonight, though, you're going to know whether Cleveland is up for it or not. +200 was available earlier this morning. That is what I bet. It has since come down, but I still like it at +180 there. I would bet Cleveland. That's the NBA. On the ice, call me skeptical, man. This layoff, I think, is a little bit too much for the Carolina Hurricanes. I like Montreal to keep the momentum rolling here, +170. I think we get a longer series. To me, I do like Carolina to win it because I think Carolina has been the best team in the East. And if you kind of take away the bias of we've seen the failures of the past, you would land on the Hurricanes, which I think is the smart way to go about this. But I had this going 6 or 7 games, so give me Montreal to take home ice. Carolina will bounce back a little bit later on, but I like Montreal +170.
Please, dear God, don't go 7 as someone who laid 1.5 games with the Canes.
Canes in 6 is what we're doing. In the MLB, or just in MLB, I don't know if anybody calls it the Major League Baseball, give me the first 5 under 4 between the Mets and the Nationals. This has been a series, and the Nats have been a team that have gone over quite a bit, but David Peterson, who usually is one of my sworn enemies in Major League Baseball. He's been one of the more unlucky pitchers that we've had so far. ERA, massive, 5.40. FIP, 2.97. He's been pitching much better than what the traditional numbers suggest. Also, Cade Cavalli, a little bit more on the unfortunate side as well in that matchup. So I like the under in the first 5. They're under 4 at even money. And then finally tonight, let's get some runs on the late night in the desert between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Over 5, -115. Eduardo Rodriguez. You want to talk about guys who have been lucky? He's one of them. ERA 2.53. That's great, right? How about a FIP of 3.86? When you look under the hood, you realize Eduardo Rodriguez, not as good as it suggests. So I like the runs. And also, Zach Agnes for the Colorado Rockies. Nothing to write home about. So let's get some runs out there for the Rockies and the D-backs.
Also, we don't have it at the top of this, but that first bet of yours with the Pirates and Cardinals needs a little check mark next to it. Cash it, came home early. And by the way, thank goodness it did, because top of the 6, because he had, for anybody who is just listening on radio, he had the F5 under 4. It was 2-1 through 5 innings, so just gets home. Mm-hmm. Top of the 6, we see 2 runs go. Yep. So that's why we do the 5. We're through. We got through.
Dustin May, he did yeoman's work for me. Is hey, I'll get you 5 innings, but after that, I'm done.
Yes.
As they yanked him out of the game quickly. So we appreciate the service, Dustin May. Graham Ashcraft, he had a hell of a game. He had 7 innings, 1 earned run, so he carried his weight here as the Buccos just get the victory. That one wrapping up out there in the gateway of the West. 6-2, Pirates winning it over the Cardinals.
There we go. As we were discussing earlier on the ice, and you mentioned, of course, the Eastern Conference Final getting underway tonight, mm-hmm. a big conversation topic around Carolina has been Freddie Anderson, and he is this second shot on the board right now to win Conn Smythe. He's been unbelievable. Honestly, his numbers, when you look at it, he's been the best in the league, and it's not close. 5th goalie the last 20 years to start and win 8 straight games in the playoffs. One of the others, by the way, Jonathan Quick in 2012, who did win Conn Smythe that year. .950 save percentage, 112 goals against, 11.2 goals saved above expected, best in the league, stopped also 24 of 26 unblocked high-danger chances.
Wow.
The dude has been unbelievable. I think, based on his production thus far, rightfully high on the odds board for Conn Smythe at 4-1. That said, I'm not betting it. And there are a number of reasons why, one of which being, and something that I've brought up for a while now, Freddie going Freddie at some point, okay? Yeah. He just does. The sample size, as you've referenced a couple times, is very small. It's only 8 games to this point. That could we could nearly reach that in this series alone.
We could go 7.
Possibly. Hopefully not, though, like I said earlier. He's due for a clunker, and I think that could impact a lot of this, right? If he goes on to win the Stanley Cup, that's 2 more series ahead. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for other people to elevate. The last goalie we saw win it was Andrei Vasilevsky in 2021, which was the second year that the Tampa Bay Lightning had already won the Cup, right? So it was Victor Hedman who won it the first time. They did give it to a skater. Prior to that, it was a decade earlier that we had seen another goalie win it, which we just said his name. And it's just not something that you typically see for goalies, which then also transitions me to the Vegas Golden Knights. Because yesterday we had Mitch Moss on at the end of the program, and he was making the argument for Vegas, if they go on to win the Stanley Cup, Mitch Marner and Carter Hart are kind of the ways that he would like to play that. And we have talked a ton about Mitch Marner on this program. And I think for Vegas, at least right now, he is absolutely the leader in the clubhouse with everything that he's done. And just the storyline of everything going so wrong for him in Toronto to now be kind of this playoff hero for Vegas. Carter Hart has been great this postseason, sure. He's already had a handful of tough games, though, against Utah. And even though he has stood tall, I know it matters more what you've done for me lately than it has in the past. But in addition to the tough games that he's had, and probably going to have more against a team like Colorado in this series, mind you, he's due to have another bad one, he also has a stain on his resume as a person. And this is something that has surprised me that it hasn't been talked about a lot in the framework of specifically Carter Hart for this award. His odds got cut down yesterday from 100-1 to 50-1 after Vegas got the Game 1 win. For anyone who doesn't know this, there was a Hockey Canada trial that he was at the center of, and even though he was acquitted of a lot of these allegations and different things, that also doesn't mean not guilty. And there is a huge contingent of people out there in the world that, whether right or wrong, do not like Carter Hart for that reason. Yep. And there are a lot of them that are in the National Hockey League. I find it very, very hard to believe that, again, narrative-wise, and in awards, a lot of this stuff isn't just about on the ice. There's storylines that you get people that are rooting for you for certain ways. I find it very, very hard to believe that should Carter Hart, even if he is great in the Stanley Cup final, be given an individual award as well, just knowing how so many people in like hockey and non-hockey circles think about him?
Yeah, I think it's a very fair assessment. Like, I mean, we can all be grown-ups about this whole situation here and keep it a buck. Like, when you look at these awards markets, it's not who will win Conn Smythe. You should be thinking about it as who will the voters vote for Conn Smythe, and how many people will feel comfortable writing down the name Carter Hart. Like, I don't know if there's going to be that many, especially when we're already seeing a positive narrative forming for Mitch Marner of like, oh, he was blamed for Toronto, and like now he comes here, gets out of Toronto, and look, he's a big-time playoff performer. Like, that's a much easier narrative to sell and a much more positive story to write as opposed to what Carter Hart, like whether like right, wrong, or indifferent, however you feel about it. Like, I know it's gone to the legal system and everything like that. People are going to have their feelings about him. It's just not something that I would bet on. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit before the show. It's almost like betting Deshaun Watson if he had a good season to win comeback player of the year.
Like you know, like it's just even if you were remarkable, it's hard to get there in my head.
Exactly. We're dealing with humans, and it's not a game like once again, if you're at home listening and watching, you're like well, like blah, blah, blah. It's like no, sorry, like we're putting your money on the line. You have to factor all of this in to where Carter Hart's a guy that I am not considering betting to win the Conn Smythe. I thought about it earlier in the playoffs, but then I thought to myself, hey, I'm someone who doesn't really follow hockey that closely. What do I know about Carter Hart? And it's not something that's positive.
Yeah, when you Google his name, that comes up before anything he's done in the playoffs this year, you know? And so it's just, even though, like I said, yes, he was acquitted, he went through the legal system, he's back in the NHL, but there's a strong contingent of people that don't think that he should be, that were upset with the Vegas Golden Knights for even picking him up, and that I would find hard to believe rewarding him with an individual award when he's already in this scenario having been rewarded with a Stanley Cup, right? So 100%. there's just layers to it, and I thought it was worth noting, seeing his odds get cut down as significantly as they did yesterday, to bring up. For me right now with Vegas, it's Mitch Marner, especially given the fact that Vegas is in the 3-1 plus 350 range to win it, and you're still getting 7-1 on Mitch Marner. I thought the 12-1 that's been available for the last week and a half was a misprice there, that he should have been shorter. If there was any framework with which you thought Vegas could win against Colorado, that was the bet to make. And the fact that they're already up 1-0 and he had an important assist in that game just adds to it.
Dorofeyev?
Dude.
It's something to consider.
Scorofeyev.
Something to consider. Leads the team with 10 goals, leads the playoffs with, if he keeps doing this, he could be the Sam Bennett, the fly in the Mitch Marner ointment.
18-1 on Dorofeyev right now. Eichel is still ahead of him because of the overall point production, but like I said earlier, he's going to be playing more of a defensive role in this series in particular, so that could, I think, give Pavel a little bit of an upper tick because of the goal-scoring production. I love it, though. Pavel Scorofeyev, get it going, buddy.
Mitch better have my money. Mitch
Marner, let's go.
This
is a fun show, Femi. Hey. Thank you for stepping in. We appreciate it.
I don't gotta dance. I'll make money moves.
Oh! Follow the money coming up after this.